Hi, I'm Kesenya and welcome to Guiding Star Astrology. I'm your Astro Weather Girl, here with this week's Astro Weather Report. I'm going to show you how the stars are going to affect your life this week. Hello beautiful friends, I'm Kesenya, I'm your Astro Weather Girl, and I want to empower you through the tool of astrology this week. This week we're looking at the energies playing out for the 16th to the 23rd of October. So thanks for joining me. Keep in mind that I do this reading as a personal reading for everybody who's watching. This is not a big picture, collective, mundane astrology reading for all the stuff that's going down in the world at the moment. That is all under the influence of Pluto in Capricorn, Saturn-Uranus square that's still playing out, Eris-Pluto square that's still playing out, and the impending full moon in Aries. But what I'm doing for you today is looking at one particular personal energy that is going to be prominent this week that will affect you and that you will notice in your personal life and the events and experiences that happen in your world. If you do want to know about the full moon in Aries and how it will apply to you personally, then make sure you check out my Patreon video, which is a breakdown for all signs. Basically, it's $5 a month, or €5 rather a month to join. You can join for 1 month, or you can join for as long as you like. But no matter how long you join for, you'll get access to a whole back catalogue of astrological teaching, which is wonderful, plus ongoing new and full moon reports for each month. Just a little bit on that full moon in Aries, it is going to be the most volatile for the year. The most volatile full moon, not new moon, for the year, because there is a square aspect to Pluto involved and a conjunction of the sun with Mars, or within orb. So hold your breath, look out, here we go for that particular one. You'll want to know what that is going to be bringing to your world. So the best days this week, and remember, I'm using the Australian times based on where I live in the world to make this assessment. I'm also very conscious of the void of course moon. You should be conscious of the void of course moon as well, and avoid instigating anything under its energy. If we take action and try and implement something when the moon is void of course, usually nothing will come of that endeavor. So check out an app like iLuna to be able to determine whether it's a good time for you to make a move on something or not. But the best days this week are the 16th, 17th, and 18th. Then we have a bit of a gap, and we have the 22nd and 23rd. So the whole week is looking pretty shining, but particularly those days. When I say shining, I'm talking about personal endeavors, things that you can undertake in your life that might pay off for you. And they're going to be good days to reinvent yourself, to turn over a new leaf, to start something afresh, to dissolve some unwanted habits, to get rid of some circumstance in your life that's no longer serving you. So use the energy on those days to help you in those realms of your life. Venus will be out of bounds all week long, and this is a bit like having a conjunction of Venus and Uranus. Things are wild and erratic. They're unpredictable, and usually wild and erratic and unpredictable with regard to the things Venus rules. What does Venus rule? Finances, money, love, relationships, self-worth and self-value. So you can expect the unexpected. Bit of a roller coaster ride maybe with your money this week. You can expect the unexpected, maybe a roller coaster ride with how you see yourself in the world, how you value yourself. One day you might be thinking, everybody loves me and life is wonderful. Next day you might be thinking, oh, I suck. Why did I say that? Why did I do that? I'm hopeless. Big wild ride with Venusian things this week, and relationships, of course, was the other one I touched on there too. Now, this week's energy focuses, things that are playing out this week. On the 15th of October, we are having a trine between the Sun and Jupiter. So the Sun is in Libra, making a trine to Jupiter in Aquarius. Then on the 17th, we've got a busy week. If you want to know all about what these energies are going to mean, follow along with my Insta page and my Facebook page if you're so inclined. I don't engage so much with my Facebook page any longer because of the vitriol that's present there at the moment, especially in Australia. But Insta is a great one to follow along with. And you'll get the lowdown every day for what the energies are that are unfolding and how they might affect you and how to best use them in your life. So the other energies this week are on the 17th. We've got a sun making a square aspect to Pluto here. So the sun's quite busy in the early part of the week making aspects there. And then we have Jupiter going direct on the 18th. Oh my God, I can't wait for that one. So I'll put a big D here for direct. Jupiter changing direction. We're all hanging out for that beautiful energy shift that's coming with that. Then, and the one we're going to be talking about this week and how it's going to impact us personally is little old Mercury down here, which we might think is small and insignificant, but my God, he packs a punch. Mercury is going direct. That's happening on the 19th, and that's the energy that we're going to be discussing. Then also on the 19th, we've got a Mars making a trine, not a Mars, Mars, the Mars, making a trine to Jupiter. So here we are with Mars practically with the sun making a trine to Jupiter there. You can tell the board is getting very messy now, but I hope it's clearing up for you where things are at. And then on the 20th, we have a full moon occurring in Aries, sort of over in this section of the sky. And then finally, my God, it's a busy week. We have on October the 22nd, Mars making a square to Pluto. Okay, deep breaths for that one. But that happens, twice every 2 years that we get a square from Mars to Pluto. It's not unheard of. We do go through that regularly. But we still need to take some deep breaths and be forearmed for what it might bring us. So do check out what I describe on the Insta page so that you're ready for that one. Now, Mercury retrograde. Let's look at that one. I want to stay in Mercury retrograde forever, said no one ever. Mercury retrograde is almost like the most feared energy that most people know about, who aren't familiar with other aspects of astrology. And I even Astrotash had a chat on one of the big national network TV stations this week about Mercury retrograde, because even the national network TV stations know about Mercury retrograde. So people know about it and people are fearful of it, but it's, we go through it 3 times a year. It's nothing that we do not experience on a regular basis as a collective. So, but just the same, we can get a bit sort of antsy about Mercury retrograde. So it's coming to an end now, and it's the final Mercury retrograde concluding for 2021. So yay. So now we can bid goodbye to all the plodding along, the mental slowness, the waiting, the pondering, the planning. At last we can begin to take action. So very happy week this week. Recognize though, and perhaps you might like to do some introspective work around this, you can recognize that you will have grown through this 3-week process. Look back at where you were 3 weeks ago and where you are now, and how much you've been stretched and maybe pulled in difficult ways, but you're in a whole different space now compared to where you were 3 weeks ago. That's the effect of this Mercury retrograde. It's like a butterfly emerging from a cocoon now. And you will emerge from this time when Mercury goes direct with a renewed way of thinking. This is on the 19th, or check your time in the time descriptions below for your part of the world when this is happening. But you will emerge with a renewed way of thinking and a new way of perceiving life in general. So it's very exciting in that sense. Growth will have occurred in your life, and almost imperceptibly, but when you stop and review it, you'll see the change. So give thanks. It's a time, Mercury going direct is a time for giving thanks to the universe for how you've grown and evolved and changed through this time. So now, as I said, we're all done with Mercury retrogrades for 2021. So let's take a look at what Mercury moving direct is going to bring us now in the house of Libra until 6th of November. So this energy is going to be at play until the 6th of November. But before I talk about that, for each sign, I do want to say that Mercury is the ruler of our skill sets. And I'm talking about the practical skill sets, the skills of our hands, being able to do calligraphy, being able to sew a dress, being able to cook a lovely dinner, like the things we do with our hands, our skill sets, in a practical sense, are very mercurial. Now, so many of my fellow Australians have experienced job loss or are facing job loss due to medical tyranny in this country at the moment. And I want to encourage you, if I can, if you're in that situation, Mercury turning direct, maybe it's an opportunity for you to consider reskilling in some practical field of life now. Maybe this has happened to prepare you for a future that is yet to arrive, a future that's being birthed. And look, I don't say this lightly. I feel that the universe is calling us to trust in a new direction that's unfolding. For example, alternative communities are going to be springing up out of this. They already are springing up out of this. People don't want to live in a tiered society, so they're forming their alternative communities within the framework of the mainstream. And so in those tiered societies, there might be a skill set that you can bring to a brave new world that's being birthed now. What have you always wanted to do? You know, if you've lost your job or if you're facing job loss, what have you always deep in your heart longed to do but pushed it down because, you know, I have to be, you know, working at the bank, or I have to, whatever it is, you know, working at the hospital, I have to do something that makes money. What do you secretly long to do in your heart? Well, maybe now's the time to do so. Maybe you've always had a hankering to go grow organic veggies, or to turn your hand to some sort of carpentry, or to get a diploma of education in your field of expertise so that you can run your own online school or something. I mean, like, these are times of great change. No one is going to deny that. We're being squeezed in a new direction. And yes, it feels a lot like labor pains being birthed. But perhaps when this new child is born, we'll be surprised at how wonderful this new life feels to us. And maybe this is an opportunity rather than a curse for those of us who are being pushed into a new direction, to be leaders in a new field, in a new community, in a whole new world. So I just want to encourage people, with Mercury going direct, ruling our skill sets, maybe take a review. Okay, what is it that I really want to do, that I love to do, that's practical and useful in the new world that's being birthed? Now, in ancient astrology, Mercury was actually the second most important planet. And it was all about how we communicated. It's still all about how we communicate. But in the ancient times, it was a planet connected to our character, connected to how we express our ideas. Also, that's the case in the modern age as well, and how we learn. But it's also about what others first see in us. And why is that? Because Mercury is how we speak, how we interact, how we communicate. Do we communicate with confidence, or are we really shy and mousy? You know, that's the first thing that people will usually notice about us, with the first words that come out of our mouth and our hello. Mercury has a lot to say about that sort of thing as a planet. So I just wanted to set the tone for what Mercury is all about, and I want to do a dive now into Mercury for all signs. And because Mercury is going direct in the sign of Libra on the 19th, and going to be in Libra until the 6th of November, let's start with our Libran friends. So here we are in the sign of Libra, first house. Well, you're thinking it's going to be very fast now that Mercury's gone direct in your sign, Libra. In fact, your mind can sometimes be a bit faster than your mouth now during these couple of weeks, because Mercury is in the house of quick action, first house. So make sure, Librans, in your communications, you take the time to slow down and think things through. You may actually need to make some fast decisions over the next couple of weeks, maybe even take some quick actions in certain circumstances of your life as well. So just try to remember, okay, I've got to stop, I've got to think, and then decide, you know, don't just bowl on in and then regret it. You're going to want to keep things short and to the point. It's also important to try and, you know, consciously remember to pay attention to the finer details. But like I said, you're going to want to keep things short and to the point in all your interactions now, and that's okay. This is just like a seasonal couple of weeks where that's going to be very important in your life. Things are going to be very busy in your life now. You're going to be sort of kept on your toes, lots of action, lots of things going on, lots of directions that your attention is going to be pulled. You could also receive some fresh and exciting news in your life now, Librans, some exciting insights, and it's important. I think I've already mentioned this, but I'll probably say it again. It's important to keep the details of any new and exciting plans that crop up in your life, keep them simple now. Yes, you can start to take action now that Mercury's gone direct, and so forth, but keep your ideals and dreams and plans and goals for new aspirations and fresh ideas, keep them simple and big picture focused to begin with. Well, Mercury is in this very sort of big picture house, the first house, not a house of detail. So keep that in mind. Try not to get too defensive about any of your opinions under this energy as well. Take your Libra elegance to the high ground, if there's any fights or whatever going on in your sphere, and use your words to fight people with intellectual argument now, and have it tinged with a bit of grace as you do so. You might be able to really rally people to a cause, actually, during this time through your infectious excitement now, although there might be some impatience with other people who are in your sphere and taking too long to reach a point. They're laboring their dialogue and you're like, hurry up and just get to the point, But you and your words, Librans, can be very rallying now, very inspiring now. So, put them to good use. Scorpio rising, sun or moon people, the energy of Mercury turning direct is happening now. Let's get that sitting there straight. Happening in your 12th house. Well, 12th house is dreamy and imaginative, and Mercury is of the mind. So you might actually have a bit of trouble with details while Mercury is traveling through your 12th house until the 6th of November. But information can come to you from other realms, Scorpio, so be attuned. Put up your antennas and wait to receive. You could be a channeler of otherworldly information for people right now. You could have some trouble, though, during this couple of weeks with everyday activities and routines, because that's opposite. That's a 6th house energy and to the 12th house, so it's a bit out of whack there. So there could be some, thinking in very abstract and unusual ways that maybe is not quite, practical for you. But there's lots of creativity, lots of inspiration around in your life now. There might be some frustration, with the mundane and ordinary, though, as I said. Do be careful, because during this time, Scorpio, there might be a bit of a lack of thoroughness with the details and, of life under this energy. But, any knowledge can arrive very intuitively now. And so in that sense, even though you're not honing in on the finer details, it's also a good time to trust your instincts and to trust your gut. So it can be a very visionary time for you now. Trust your visions as well as your gut instincts. And it's actually a really good transit if you're a Scorpio person and you work in marketing or advertising or in musical careers, writing, or any kind of creative career, because inspiration can really land on your doorstep now while Mercury is in your 12th house. So use that energy if you work in those fields. It's a good time if you enjoy chatting and dialoguing with people. It's a good time to, get chatting about spirituality, talk about, higher things, angelic realms, other dimensions, talk about astral travel, get chatty about those spiritual aspects with your friends. And as I said, I've kind of alluded to this the whole way through for Scorpio, but you might get some big psychic downloads and insights now. They can even come in your dreams. Your dreams can be very prophetic. So during this couple of weeks, until the 6th of November, it's probably a good idea to have a dream journal beside your bed and write it down if you wake up at 2 a.m. and you have some bit of inspiration, okay? So Sagittarius rising, sun or moon people, the energy of Mercury turning direct is falling for you in the 11th house, and this is a very strong position for Mercury to be in until the 6th of November. Remember, it's turning direct on the 19th. So you will have the capacity during these couple of weeks to think about life in a very rational and analytical way now. Your intellectual approach can be very 11th house based, which could be very impartial and very scientific. So if you need to utilize a scientific approach to life, this is the time. But it's a great transit for making new friends, getting alongside people, being chatty, being friendly, which you Sagittarian people are by nature anyhow. So really good for that. It's also very good if you need to do any public speaking as well, because your words will have a great deal of beautiful, elegant persuasion and impact about them, especially in the sign of Libra here. So you might be able to rally people to a worthy cause through the sweetness of your words. Libra is ruled by Venus, the planet of sweetness. So, your words can be so sweet that it can align the masses with some greater vision, greater purpose. It's also a time when you might gain some sort of unique perspective on a topic that affects the masses, perhaps. So keep your heart and mind open right now to whatever the universe is trying to guide you to and show you under this energy. You could probably also notice, I would say, for Sagittarian people, there might be an increase of those goosebump moments, you know, when you just get a divine download, a light bulb moment, and you're, ooh, tingle, tingle, you know. So that could increase for you over the next couple of weeks. Pay attention to these flashes of insight. They're messages from the divine, Sagittarius. Now, your thinking, which is a Mercury ruled thing, might be drawn to topics of progress for humanity, progress for humankind, and for justice in the sign of Libra. You might even be considering taking collective legal action with other people under this influence, and if so, do so. It's a great great energy for getting involved in that sort of thing and instigating that sort of thing. So, yeah, that's what we're seeing for Sagittarius people. For Capricorn rising, sun or moon people, Mercury is turning direct in your 10th house of career. So Mercury is our thinking processes, and the 10th house is quite a practical house. I mean, you're a practical person, Capricorn. So quite no nonsense thinking now over the next couple of weeks between the 19th of October to the 6th of November. And you can use your mind to build some helpful new structures in your life, especially if you work in careers that have to do with, say, management, administration, organization, or bureaucracy. So good time for putting some new systems in place in your work and career life, especially if you're in those fields. But for any field, really, you can restructure things. But watch out for any patronizing attitudes now that Mercury's gone direct in the authoritative 10th house. You know, you might be exhibiting some criticism and judgmentalism that can come unbidden, and so all of a sudden you're critiquing someone that you wouldn't even usually open your mouth about. That can happen where it's coming from you, but it can also happen to you, where an authority figure is critiquing you, judging you, patronizing you. And if that happens, just go, oh, okay, Mercury's in my 10th house in Libra. I'll just deep breathe, because it'll be over by the 6th of November, okay? So be aware of that tendency in yourself. You tread with kindness. Tread with elegance, very Libran elegance and graciousness where you can in all your communications for the next couple of weeks, Capricorn. All right, Aquarius rising, sun or moon people. Well, you have Jupiter turning direct in your first house. Lucky you guys this week. That'll be good. But we're looking at Mercury turning direct in the 9th house for you. And Mercury is what we think about. So this week when Mercury goes direct, all of a sudden you'll be thinking very expansively, thinking about very uplifting, inspirational topics now. You'll be looking for the silver lining. You know, where is the pill in all this jam? No, not the pill. That's the wrong way around, isn't it? Where is the silver lining on the cloud? So what is inspiring in your world this week? That's where you're focusing your thoughts under this energy. And you can really help humanity this month, as we know most Aquarian people like to do, with your globalist thinking and a big picture focus, and also bringing in this naturally progressive overview of life and for the future. So you might, Aquarius, you might get some sort of inventiveness, inspiration in your life. You know, it'll come to you mentally, and I want to encourage you to put it into action. I mean, you're inclined this way anyway as an Aquarian person to see solutions. So if you come up with a solution, maybe you think, the craziness in Australia right now, what we need to do is form a bohemian society. And if you get those thoughts coming to you, which I get all the time, go for it. Use this thinking energy, this inspirational thought process to put into action. You've also got Mars, the action planet. The sun's a bit of an action planet as well. Action planets in your 9th house of inspiration. So trust your inspirations, Aquarius, and take action on them when those light bulb moments come to you. Now, truth seeking is a 9th house thing as well. It's on the cards. You are going to want all the big answers to what's going on. And so trust your hunches, trust your intuition on things. This might be a bit of a good time to do a bit of a dive into different philosophies and belief systems, and to try to wrap your head around activities and affairs that are going on in other countries as well. Do some research into what's really going down, what's really happening in all these foreign places, and put the pieces together. You can use your thought processes to help you in that regard as well. Okay. Pisces rising, sun or moon people. Well, for you guys, Mercury is turning direct in your 8th house. And this is where our thinking is directed at the moment with Mercury in the 8th house by transit. So your thinking can become quite 8th house, deep and intense right now. You're probably going to have a bit of a distaste for small talk and superficiality. It's like, no, enough talking about the weather. Let's cut to the chase here. What's really important? How are you feeling? What are you going through? Kind of stuff. It's time also for getting very strategic with Mars and Mercury in your 8th house. Strategic in your communications. So you might be focused upon some psychological analysis of yourself, but also of the other people that are in your world right now. So that can happen. You'll be trying to nut people out and understand their motives, understand their agendas. You can also expect a lot of passion in your communications and your thinking. I've certainly been tapping into that already before Mercury's even gone direct in this house, but maybe that's because Mars is there too. But there's a lot of passion in what I'm thinking about and how I'm communicating to my friends. And you will communicate with greater fervor and enthusiasm about the topics that are dear to your heart. I got on my soapbox this week and I was quite surprised at how eloquent I was with how everything came out of my mouth about something I've believed in for a very long time. So that's one of the factors that can exhibit with this placement. Your words really do have power now, Pisces people, so use them for good, use them like a superhero. You know, there can be a tendency when Mercury is in the 8th house to manipulate others with our words under this transit. So keep in mind, I want to manipulate people, or I want to use my words to help lift people into the good rather than coerce them into something that's a bit less than stellar. So expect that you will, under this influence, probably come to some conclusions, quite intense conclusions as well, about the darker undercurrents of humanity during this time. For you guys, for Pisces people, you might suddenly have a revelation about some secret thing that's been going on. You might get a video or some sort of message arrive in your social media box about the darkness of humanity, and suddenly the light bulbs go off for you this week. You might even find yourself thinking more often about morbid and taboo topics as well, which is a very 8th house thing. People might even start coming up to you and be divulging their secrets to you under this energy, Pisces. You know, they might feel safe to tell you certain things now that they might not otherwise do. Some Pisces people might turn into regular Sherlock Holmeses and go on the trail for the truth, do a deep dive into finding answers now. So go with that energy. Find out what is hidden and what needs to be revealed, Pisces. You are likely to find that you're drawn to mysteries under this energy, and that could just simply be Mercury is to read. You might be reading, an Agatha Christie novel or something like that, something that is about mysteries and hidden things. Or you might, buy a few conspiracy theorist books, and I use conspiracy theorists with great respect as a term because I'm one. So, you might buy a book and dive into some of those things, discovering more about hidden ideas and concepts and ideologies. And you're going to be able to, Pisces, you're probably a bit inclined this way already, but you're going to be able to see right through people, to understand their motivations, to understand the hidden truths that they mightn't be speaking, but they're certainly in their aura, in their energy field. So watch out. Also, because this is a very obsessive house and you've got the planet of the mind here, watch out for being a bit obsessive mentally now. Maybe obsessive about a new person that you've met or a new idea that you've come up with or something. Just pace yourself, remind yourself, go slow, pull back a little, detach, observe, don't get too much down the rabbit hole, Pisces. I want to just say too, for some Pisces people, you might be a provoker of transformation in the lives of others over the next couple of weeks until the 6th of November through the use of your words. So maybe my words might be transformative to somebody out there today, who knows? But that would very much be the energy of Mercury turning direct in the 8th house for Pisces people. Aries rising, sun or moon people, you guys have the new moon in your chart. In the first house for you. It's going to be a doozy, so hang on to your hats, guys. But you've got Mercury turning direct here in the 7th house Libra. What's that going to be all about? What you might find during this next couple of weeks until the 6th of November when Mercury is moving out of Libra, you might find that you just have a strong need to communicate ideas and thoughts with other people in order to keep you from feeling stuck in the world. So if you're just feeling the impulse to sort of break it down with somebody verbally, not in an aggressive way, but in a very diplomatic way, then do so. This is the energy. This is the time for having good, deep, and meaningful discussions with others. You can really uplift others now with your words, Aries, so be generous with your compliments. Be generous with your encouragement now. It's going to be a blessing to people. Your communication will be also very, as I said, diplomatic, very Libran. Sometimes under this energy, when we've got the Mercury moving through the 7th house by transit, we might like to play a bit of the devil's advocate in order to balance a conversation, because it's a house of balance. Libra is the sign of balance as well. But you'll do this to make both yourself and others think very objectively, because Libra energy wants to weigh up, okay, well, what is true here? What is right? And you'll look at one side and you'll look at the other. So there can be a bit of a devil's advocate that you're sort of throwing into the mix in your conversations now for that purpose. But this is also a time that you're going to be able to perceive problems from this variety of angles, and you'll enjoy that stimulation. And you'll enjoy the stimulation of a fair and just debate as well. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of fair and just debate occurring in Australia right now, but wherever you are in the world, maybe get together with your friends and thrash out a few ideas about what's happening in the world and the agendas, and even just, maybe even just less heavy topics. You might like to thrash out certain ideas and perspectives with respect and with dignity and that diplomacy that Libra is renowned for. But it's a time for feeling more rational and more reasonable in your thought processes, Aries. You also won't be in much of a hurry with your thinking right now, which could be very contradictory for a lot of Aries people. Libran energy isn't in a rush. It's not in a rush. It wants to take the time to weigh things up. So your mindset, your thought processes, it's gone for a walk. Your thought processes might be a little more patient now, Aries, which can be a very good thing. You can use that for good. It's a great time to bring balance and harmony to any of your relationships with your words while Mercury transits the 7th house as well. All right, Taurus rising, sun or moon people, we've got the energy falling in the 6th house for you. And this is the energy of Mercury turning direct. Let me get this right. Well, guess what? You can have high levels of success for the next couple of weeks until Mercury moves out of Libra on the 6th of November, Taurus. Success, but in your everyday routine, in your everyday life, which is a very 6th house energy. So this is a time when your communication can be very articulate and precise, and you have this improved ability to be able to communicate and get straight to the point while Mercury is in the 6th house. No dilly-dallying, just let's get practical, let's get on with it. So this can be a time where you might find that you're a bit impatient with other people who are not thinking as effectively as you. People who dilly-dally and take ages to get to the point of what they're trying to tell you, and you're like, hurry up. That can be very frustrating when Mercury is traveling through the 6th house, because Mercury has a natural affiliation with the 6th house through its rulership of the sign of Virgo and that 6th house connection. So Mercury does quite well here in the practical 6th house. You're going to be practical and precise with your communication and have this improved ability to get straight to the point, but impatient with others who are not being that way. But let this Libran diplomacy in the 6th house shine through now. So your practical skills can be very much enhanced and even border on perfectionism while Mercury is in the sign of Libra in the 6th house. So if you have some creating to do, some crafting to do, some sort of practical hand use oriented work, you'll probably produce very elegant and tasteful work now under this energy. So it's a very introspective and observational energy as well. So you might find yourself analyzing everything that's going on just for the next couple of weeks. Why did they say that? What did they mean by that? Why are they going down there? I don't understand. And you're trying to sort of analyze and make up your mind about certain things. that can be a bit overwhelming. Sometimes the sixth house Mercury energy can be a bit too much to one extreme, a bit worrying, a bit overthinking, that sort of thing. So just be conscious of that. But if there's any planning or preparation to be done in your life, you'll do very well to schedule that for before the 6th of November when Mercury leaves the sixth house. So do your planning work, do your preparation work, do your applications to government departments and what have you under this energy when Mercury is direct in your sixth house. It will do well in your favor. And this will also, by being organized and being well structured and doing your planning and so on, this will also help alleviate any of that worry that I was talking about, and that can sometimes unfold when Mercury transits through the sixth house. But it's a great time to put some practical organizational skills in place towards helping others as well, helping the disadvantaged, the sick and the poor, which are sixth house energies. And Mercury is very practically oriented, and we want to try and help. So Taurus, that's a great way to direct this energy and get some usefulness out of it for you. All right. So Gemini rising sun or moon people, the energy of your ruling planet going direct is falling for you in the fifth house, the lucky fifth house. So this is a good placement. Your thinking might be quite larger than life now. You know, in your head, your imaginings go to places where no man or woman has gone before. And as such, you could find yourself undertaking some very mercurial things that you might not usually do. Speaking to a stranger, attempting a crossword or a Sudoku. You might not ever touch that sort of thing, and all of a sudden you're inspired to do something you've never done before that involves Mercury. You might plan out a literary endeavor, and you know, if you had in the back of your mind you're going to write that spy novel for years, lo and behold, you sit down under Mercury going direct in Libra in your fifth house, and you make the structure and the plan of the particular novel. So it could be very creative for you in that sense. You might even find that your communication is even more confident now, more dramatic, more expressive, more captivating. So you can have a really strong influence on people through the use of this confident energy in your communications. And that's really, really lovely. People might be laughing a lot more now at your jokes, Gemini, and we know that Gemini people tend to be very witty and funny anyway, but that might be even amped up with your ruling your ruling planet going through the fifth house. The fifth house is also a very generous type of energy, so you might be feeling very generous with your words, very encouraging, very affirming, very uplifting with your words to others, giving compliments, giving encouragement to others, which is a lovely, lovely way to use this energy. It's a very positive transit for our Gemini rising people. You may also, Mercury rules trade and buying and selling and that sort of thing. You could get very lucky in some sort of trade agreements or contracts. You could take a risk even. I always say that with a pinch of salt, you know. I don't encourage people to do absurd, risky behaviors, but you might be able to, take a bit of a risk now that you wouldn't usually take with some sort of a trade agreement or a buying and selling kind of situation, or some sort of give and take kind of circumstance. So that's our Libra, our Gemini people. Cancer rising sun or moon people, the energy of Mercury going direct in the sign of Libra is falling in your fourth house. This is where communication can get very personal. You might find yourself picking up very easily the feelings and the needs of other people around you. It's a transit that can bring out some of the defensive tendencies in you when Mercury is going direct and moving through the fourth house, a very sensitive house. So be kind to yourself. If you feel inclined to be a bit like defensive or to put up your protective shell verbally even, know when to walk away, know when to just lick your wounds instead, okay? So heads up on that. You might find that information comes to you now in more, rather than sort of a lightning bolt from the blue, information can come to you guys in very gentle, non-confrontative ways. So something subtly comes to you. So have your antenna out for any new information, any news, any revelations that are going to be sort of filtering into your sphere rather than coming at you with sort of that, Zeus thrown lightning bolt kind of thing. It's a terrific energy to do some journaling, to pick up a book on a romantic or an emotional topic, especially in the very relational sign of Libra. So do some reading about that sort of thing, poetry, relationship stories, communications that are shared with an emotional perspective to them. You might like to, Cancer people, check out my video that I did last Saturday with Robin Jordan, past life regressionist extraordinaire. She told us all these amazing stories about the healings that had happened to so many of her clients. So do check out that video. It's in the playlist on my YouTube channel, because that's the kind of thing that you'll be into this week. Stories, communications that have a very personal and emotive edge to them. You'll get a lot out of those things. You might also get a bit sentimental and nostalgic yourself in your thinking now, Cancer. Cancer people can be quite inclined that way naturally already, but doubly so when Mercury is moving through the fourth house. You might be thinking more about fourth house topics too: security, land, property, hospitality, family history. You might just be going into those realms. Expect that you could also get quite passionate about philosophical topics and deep soul-searching inquiry under this energy. So again, doing some journaling is a good thing. Reading self-help books, also a very good thing to utilize with this energy that's in your life right now. Leo rising, sun or moon people, the energy of this particular transit of Mercury turning direct and moving through your third house, which is going to be the case until the 6th of November. Mercury will be there. It is a very playful and cheeky energy, Mercury in the third house. So you might get a bit flirty with your words, Leo. And that can be fun. You'll be feeling more witty, more intellectual, more able to sort of give the sparky, quick retort to people. And that can be a lot of fun for Leo people. It's a great time to direct your words also into some sort of creative brilliance. Write an article, outline a plot for a new story, strategize a brand new business idea. It's a good time for putting your mind into those sort of creative endeavors. And your mind can be quite restless in the third house for the next couple of weeks. So you might get jumping from one thought to another and one idea and one concept and dealing with one area of your business and then going to that area, and you're handling all sorts of different things and you're super, super busy in your mind right now. So this restlessness is there. You might even create some new friendships that can bring new perspectives into your world, because Mercury is the energy of friends, and this is the third house is an energy of different perspectives and absorbing different information from different avenues. So that could also pop up on your radar too. Curiosity can be quite insatiable with Mercury in the third house, and you're going to want to know about everything, So make the most of that. Do your research, dive into all sorts of different topics, because this energy will end on November the 6th, and you might direct your thinking processes to other realms of life afterwards. I want to encourage you to watch out for an excess of nervous energy, because your mind can be racing, as I've already said. So it might be harder for you to sit still and meditate now. If you can't do it, don't worry. Don't worry about it. Just, after the 6th of November, then get back into your meditation routine if it's not working for you now. Just go with the flow of where your mind is at now, and don't be too critical of yourself. One thing that we advise for the higher octave of Mercury, which is Uranus transits, we advise to take what's it called? I've gone blank. Magnesium. And you can even try a bit of that if you would like to try magnesium supplements while Mercury is moving through your third house, which has to do with that high neural activity. All right, so Virgo, thank you for waiting this week, Virgo, until last. We have the energy of Mercury going direct in your second house. Now, the second house has an affiliation with Venus naturally, and of course your second house is ruled by Venus in your natal chart. Plus, for all Virgo rising people, Venus is their indicator of wealth and prosperity. So very nice energy that is related to your second house, Virgo. But Venus is the planet of diplomacy, kindness, and sweetness. Keep that in mind. So under this energy, with Mercury, the planet of communications here, you might be inclined to use your voice to sing sweetly or to speak sweetly, or to use your words to be balm for others, to be a blessing, a sweet blessing to others in some way, to uplift others. So you can use your words to uplift other people, but you can also direct your mental thought processes to uplifting yourself and saying sweet things, kind things to yourself. And we know that Virgo people sometimes can be a little bit self-critical. So why not use this energy of Mercury in the sweet sign of Libra to be like a source of balm for you? You know, praise yourself, honor yourself, lift yourself up through your thinking and your words. Catch yourself when you are running yourself down. You know, detach, observe. What is my dialogue internally saying? What is it really saying? And maybe pull yourself up if it's not going down the right road, so to speak. I would also recommend, you know, you might like to do some activities because Mercury is busy, active energy. You might like to do some activities that solidify that. You might like to write yourself a love letter. Instead of just thinking good thoughts, put them on paper. Write yourself a love letter. Dear whoever, you know, you mean this to me. I'm so proud of the way you do this. I think it's wonderful how you do X, Y, Z. Like, go for it. Tell yourself how much you love yourself. And it can be so uplifting and can be actually something very valuable when we're going through difficult, trying times, as many people are right now. So your thoughts might turn also with Mercury in the second house to things that are related to second house and Libra. So art, beauty, fashion, the environment, which is a very second house thing, food, which is a very second house thing, nature, second house thing, and also self-sufficiency is a second house thing as well. So it's a great time if you have ever thought about going self-sufficient, Virgo. And I know a lot of people Virgo people are very practical and they do think about this sort of thing. It's a great time for planning and strategizing to maybe do that. Because Mercury is to plan and strategize. I mean, and the great strategist is Mars, which is also here in this sign as well. Mars is the general. It's got the military strategy. So if ever there was a time to plan and strategize your future survival, let's say, your resources for survival and your ability to be self-sufficient, if you're inclined that way, do it now. You can even take action now because Mars is an action planet there with Mercury, the energy of the planning and action come together. It's great. So yeah, that can be very good. You'll also find that your finances, which are a second house thing, and the money-making ideas might be flourishing in your life now. So pay attention to wherever your mind wanders to under this influence, because it is likely to be leading you in the right direction for, investments or ideas for how you can create and generate more resources in your life. So one and all, thank you for joining me for this rather messy little sojourn around the horoscope this week, looking at the influence we're going to now be able to work with as Mercury goes direct. Let me close with a prayer. Energy of love in the universe. These are interesting times, and we just invite in more love, more joy, more blessing into our lives so that we can be a blessing to our fellow man in these trying times. We ask that the angels, we ask that the divine energies, and especially the energy of love in the universe, flood the earth now with support and help and insights and wisdom and strategies and power to help overcome that which would bring us down. And we ask this together because we are united in love, and so it is. Well, thank you one and all for joining me. I look forward to having another Astro Weather Report for you next week. Have a great week in the meantime until then.